All right, welcome to your next lesson. Today we're going to be working on page 15 of your course manual, where it says the Kingdom of Tarot, meet the players in the game, landscape of Tarot world. Today when I'm recording this lesson, it is a beautiful rainy and windy day here in the Western Cape. It's winter time, so if you do hear the wind in the background, outside the house, just know that I'm sitting in this beautiful rainy weather and I'm just enjoying that. So we're going to be looking at, I like to think of the tarot as a landscape, a world with different people inside the landscape in the world, different characters that we meet along the way, different conditions, different temperaments, different activities, different scenes and landscapes, and if we can think of it like that, it becomes a whole new world for us to explore. The landscape of tarot could be imagined as having different kingdoms. Think of Game of Thrones or medieval Europe, and use your imagination a little bit here. So to the east, we have the hot, passionate and bustling city of Wands, ruled by the hot-headed king and queen of fire, full of energy and activity, maybe quick to anger, but there's never a dull day in the kingdom of fire and the city of Wands. And to the north, we have the cool, culturally diverse, poetic capital of Cups, where partners and friends fall in and out of love. It's like a soap opera every day, and it's ruled by the sensitive king and queen of water. To the west, we find the arid, windy mountain peaks of the Valley of Swords, where we find the great warriors, fighters, and assassins, and they're all trained there. And it's ruled by the stern and unyielding king and queen of the air. And finally, to the south, we meet the very practical people of the Kingdom of Coins, a land of abundance and great riches and hard-working folk who are overseen by the wealthy, opulent, down-to-earth king and queen of, well, Earth. So you could actually divide your suits up and imagine them in these terms, these imaginative expressions of each of the suits. And that will take you into the cards. They then become a living, organic expression of the archetypes and symbols evoked, should I say, brought out of us when we look at the cards in the deck. The trumps, the major arcana cards, are characters and travelers throughout the tarot landscape. Sometimes they can represent the people in our lives, and sometimes they represent certain events or attitudes, and can be seen as signposts of important learning chapters in our lives. When a major arcana card comes up, we always know that this is something we need to really look at. This is something important to be aware of. Whereas very often the minor arcana show the day-to-day activities coming and going in our lives. But don't worry about the major arcana cards just yet. I'm just giving you a little bit of context. So all in all, we must be careful of boxing any of our cards and limiting them, because when we limit them, we limit their oracular abilities. So I want you to know the basic feel and flavor of a card. It's like having a friend where you know their temperament. Imagine a friend. Let's have a look at the King of Wands. And this might be a friend who is passionate and enthusiastic, has lots of courage and energy. And although we don't limit that friend to those characteristics alone, we know that that is their basic temperament. And so we always know how to approach that friend, what to say to them, what not to say to them, and how to speak to them. They're not always going to be energetic, enthusiastic, courageous, and full of fiery energy, but on the general, that's a good way for us to describe them. And the cards are the same. They represent a general view of the character in that card, which is most often the energy that comes up in that reading, but we're not always limited to it in that way. So we will explore that as we continue with our studies. For now, just get a basic feel and flavor, but also keep your mind open to what else the card might be saying to you. Example could be a Two of Cups. The Two of Cups generally could point to love, romance, exchange, partnerships, and also mutual exchanges between two people. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic exchange. But in a question such as, where would it be best for me to take my first date? And the Two of Cups came up, giving the definition of, oh, this card represents partnerships and romance and love, doesn't necessarily answer our querent's question of where would it be best to take the first date. We need to then use the card to answer the question. So we look at the card, and the first thing that comes to my mind is take him for coffee or take her to the pub. All right. So that's that rule of understand the general energy of a card, but be open to other things that the card might say to you, and always answer in context of the question. So now you'll see on page 15 that when I teach groups, I often do a group exercise where I divide the group up into pairs, and we each look at one of the suits from ace to king and then describe the basic feelings, the overview energies, and what we notice, and then we do a brief report back. However, if you're working by yourself, I just want you to lay out each of the suits from ace to king, one by one, and just go through the suit as if you were looking through a comic book or a collection of beautiful artworks from the medieval era, and write in your journal the basic feelings that come up when you explore each of those kingdoms. Have fun with it. Pretend you're going and you're visiting that kingdom. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, the north, east, and south, and west. You're meeting the royal family. You're meeting the people in that kingdom. And as you come across those characters in the cards, think, wow, if I was journeying through this kingdom, how would these people be? Would they be friendly, unfriendly, hardworking? Would they embrace me, ignore me? What would their temperaments be? This will give you so much intuitive insight into the cards, because as a diviner of the oracle, we have to understand the language that the divine is speaking through the tool that we use, and then speaking to us directly as the diviner. And this is the difference between an amateur reader or a bad reader who is reading meanings out of a book, and a pro reader who knows what the cards are saying to you directly because they're speaking to you a language that is between you and the artwork. All right, between you and spirit, expressing a message through the art, which is interpreted by the subconscious mind and then delivered to your conscious mind to offer to the querent at hand. So go through each of the kingdoms one by one, meet the characters, explore. There are no rules, get imaginative, rather get out of the box than limit yourself to trying to do the activity, quote unquote, correctly. And then go through the words that you've done there and maybe leave a page open between each so that you can add more as you continue to explore.